On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style. Hope everybody out there's having themselves a great day. Some great stuff happened. Obviously, Pam Bondi, they're picking up that terrorist. One of the bombers killed 13 Americans. They got him. That's fantastic. We have some highlights from last night's address to Congress, which I did stream live. That was quite fun. Had a lot of people there. Had a bit of a problem at one point with the feed from Fox. Ended up having to switch to an AP feed. Cost me a little bit there, but ultimately we had a lot of fun hanging out. It was super long, but man, there was some good stuff in there. Also, a lot of examples of where the Democrats are screwed. I don't know what they're going to do, and I'm very curious to see how, like, the regular Democrats in my life start to behave in regards to what their party's doing. Like, at some point, they're going to have to be like, either A, they're going to be all in, and it's going to be really hard to maintain any sort of relationship with anybody, or they're going to realize what they're doing is silly. I don't know. We're going to see how it plays out. We've got a lot of examples. We'll get into it. Democrats did not look good last night in any way, shape, or form. Some of the shenanigans they were trying to pull off. Very crazy stuff. Elon Musk posted this. I haven't voted yet. I don't know. I was going to vote on the show, and I'm like, why? And then it'll just influence other people's votes. I don't want to do that. But they said if daylight savings is to be changed, do you want, let's see, daylight savings time change is canceled. Do you prefer an hour earlier or an hour later? So they're actually talking about getting rid of daylight saving times, which I frankly love the idea. I hate the hour switch. I know a lot of people are like, but I like more light time. It takes me personally, and this is where I'm at with it, takes me a month to adjust to the 1 hour shift. It's so weird to me, too. It's only 1 hour. Like, I could fly across the country and come back, and I can adjust to that pretty quickly. You switch my whole schedule by 1 hour, man, it screws me up for about a month. It's crazy. So I don't know. I was thinking about it. I'm like, what would I prefer? Pacific Daylight Time or Pacific Standard Time, right? Like, can we just go to Pacific Time? That's what I'm hoping. I'm hoping once this is done, it'll just be like PT, it'll be MT, it'll be ET, it'll be, CT, like Central Time, right? It'll be AT for Alaska Time, HT for Hawaii Time, whatever. GT for Guam Time. It's a lot easier. We don't need all the stupid letters. Shorten things up. It'll make my thumbnails look better on Fridays, that's for sure. By the way, music-wise, the hour was inspired by Blondie, Heart of Glass. Heard the song in a Starbucks, and I was like, dude, yeah, this is it. So got that dialed in. We've got a couple Blondie songs, got a lot of good stuff, pretty much 80s. It's kind of where we're at. Cover the bases pretty well. Should have a lot of fun on Friday, so please join. 3 o'clock Pacific Time, 6 o'clock Eastern Time, or 5 o'clock Central Time, or 4 o'clock Mountain. And we're trying to include our mountain friends. This is something I've sort of been referencing, talking about. I've mentioned it a few times on this channel, kind of in passing. And this is one of the things that's tripped me out the most about the fact that the Pope right now is ill, or at least, not doing well. And I've suggested that there were some prophecies that talked about how he is the last Pope. This talks about it. It's kind of fabulous. A 900-year-old book found in the Vatican secret archives claims to predict the year of Judgment Day. That is the Christian belief of when Jesus returns to earth to determine who will be saved and who will be damned, and a saint said it would happen in 2027. Saint Malachi is credited with the 12th century text, Prophecy of the Popes, which contains a series of cryptic Latin phrases believed to describe every pope, beginning with Celestine II in 1143 and concluding with the current leader of the church, Pope Francis. The book, which features 112 short cryptic phrases, was discovered in 1595 by Arnold Wion, a Benedictine monk who claimed to have found Malachi's writings in the Vatican archives. In the final persecution of the Holy Roman Church, there will reign Peter the Roman, who will feed his flock amid many tribulations, after which the seven-hilled city will be destroyed, and the dreadful judge will judge the people. The end. The last passage of his book reads. Some interpret the prophecy as Peter taking over as the Pope amid Francis's chronic lung disease, while others believe Malachi was suggesting Francis would be the last. A documentary released in 2024 suggests the latter is true due to a passage attributed to Pope Sixtus V from 1585 that reads, "Axel in the midst of a sign." I'm not even sure what the hell that means. But Pope Sixtus V took the helm 442 years after the first leader, and with the test suggesting he is the middle of the prophecy, the end of the world would come 442 years later, which would put it square at 2027. Kind of interesting. Maybe why it doesn't really matter if we have a second president or not. Who knows? Again, it's sort of entertaining from that standpoint. Denmark should formally request consultation with allies on the grave threats posed by President of the United States of America to take Greenland. He's literally talking about it. So we welcome you into the United States. So Greenland, population less than 57,000, is going to be a state, and so is Canada with 41 million. 2 senators representing 40,000 voters and 2 for 35 million voters. What's going to happen to the other 6 million? Where do they stay in Quebec? So we'll see. Yeah, Trump is literally talking about bringing these people in. Now, that kind of goes back to the idea of the multipolar world, which is why I was bringing it up. The idea that we are going to have some form of a 3 poles on this planet is what the expectation is, or at least what we're suspicious it will be. 1 pole is going to be controlled by the Americas, which is pretty much going to be everything in the entire Americas block, including South America, Central America, North America, Greenland as well. So all of that is supposed to fall under 1 pole. And then we've got Russia that's going to handle a serious pole, and then we've got China as well. It's going to handle a pole. So we're going to see how this plays out, how these things divide up. Obviously, Europe is going to love falling under Russia. Oh, it's going to be kind of funny, really. And we'll see. Maybe that pole, I don't know, maybe it divides itself in a different kind of way, but those at least were the original speculations, if you will. Now, Elon Musk did put the thing out yesterday. We talked about it. So the 22 Dems senators that all said the exact same thing, right? And sat down at the exact same time. Well, he was offering a Cybertruck to anyone that could offer proof as to who wrote it. Cory Booker finally came out and admitted it. He says, clearly you are triggered by the truth. It was me. Keep your truck. So Cory Booker was the one that apparently wrote that stupid video that they all did. And then they started sharing each other's videos. It was pretty ridiculous, actually. This is just strange. Democrat Rep. Sydney Kamlager-Dove, she accidentally revealed her party's plan to fight Trump and Musk. And again, she didn't even try to correct it. This literally, she just said it. And I think she said what she meant.
You don't care about this country, and that is unacceptable if you claim to be the president of the United States. So we are here. We are not going anywhere. We are going to continue to fight back, and we are going to continue to speak lies to his truth, to his stealing, and to his cheating. Thank you.
We're going to speak lies to his truth. That's what she said. She didn't correct it. She didn't fix it. I would hope that's not what she meant, but it might very well be what she meant. Here's another example. Rep. Comer, he's had it up to here, if you will, with this lady. I said keep her name out your damn mouth. I don't know why that always has to come out. She's trying to get herself in trouble, Ms. Presley here, and Comer's not having any of it. Check it out.
Without objection, so ordered. We've put it in the record.
I haven't entered it.
You have what?
Mr. Chair, can I have several articles. I need to enter them. Let me just go ahead with what the articles are. What they speak to.
What's the next article?
Let me proceed. Data from Texas shows that U.S.-born Americans commit more rape and murder than immigrants.
Listen, this trend of you all trying to get thrown out of committee so you can get on MSNBC is going to end. We're not going to put up with it.
This is my procedural right as a member of this committee
you can go with
into the
Mr.
record.
Frost and Mr.
I am
Green.
reclaiming my time.
That's
you
what
do
you
not
want.
get to
No.
dictate
Ms. Presley,
how
I've been very accommodating
record.
to you. Mr. Sobrano,
And I take particular umbrage as a survivor of sexual violence. I will enter into the record. This is my right. Thank you.
No. It is Mr. Subramaniam.
Mr. Chair.
No, you know the process of unanimous consent. You are not recognized.
I have several articles to enter into the record.
Mr. Subramaniam, if you don't go, we're going to recognize Mr. Timmons.
Yeah, and Ms. Presley, no one gives a crap what you want to do. It's not happening. Nope, not today. Doug Collins confirmed as designated survivor for Trump. He's during the address to Congress. Kind of interesting. So White House officials on Tuesday night confirmed that Veteran Affairs Secretary Doug Collins will be the designated survivor during President Trump's joint address to Congress. So during that time, because there were so many people in one location that if, God forbid, something happened, Collins would have become the next person in line for the presidency. It technically was the 17th, but I believe most of the other people were actually already in the building. Such an interesting show. So many interesting facial expressions, too, coming from like J.D. Vance and Mr. Johnson in the back. Speaker Johnson. It was pretty cool. So we will definitely be getting into some of that. But, yeah, Collins was made the guy that would, God forbid something happened, he would have continued on the commander-in-chief role, essentially. So that's kind of cool. Apple taking legal action to try to overturn a demand made by the UK government to review its customers' private data if required. The U.S. technology giant has appealed to the Investigatory Powers Tribunal, an independent court with the power to investigate claims against the security service. The UK's order also angered the U.S. administration, with President Donald Trump describing it to the spectators as something that you hear about with China. Tulsi Gabbard, U.S. head of intelligence, said she had not been informed in advance about the UK's demand. She wrote in a letter that it was an egregious violation of U.S. citizens' rights to privacy and added that she intended to find out whether it breached the terms of legal data agreement between the U.S. and UK. It seems the UK is not just trying to get information about its own people, but seems to be trying to get information about Americans. And this is kind of where some of the Five Eyes stuff's going to come into play. This is where a lot of these agreements from the past, where they're going to have deep state people try to use these Five Eye companies to spy on Americans so they can try to get dirt or salacious material or anything they can. So this is playing out. Washington has now banned Britain from sharing any U.S. military intelligence with Ukraine. We've cut off Ukraine from information, and right now we're basically saying, Britain, you share any information that's ours or that we provided with Ukraine, and we find out, you guys are done. So right now, our relationship with the UK is kind of in hot water, it seems. UK's in hot water. Trump is kind of putting his feet down and saying, no, we're not doing this anymore. You guys are not necessarily being our best allies right now. Now, again, we're crapping all over Canada, crapping all over England, and I think mostly a lot of this has to do with trying to get everything back in line with the way it should be, with making America great again. We've got these countries that have been taking advantage of us for years, and we're done with it. And it is going to be very difficult for many of these countries. They've been building budgets off the money they've been stealing from us, and we're now cutting off that fund, and now they are scrambling to try to figure out how are we going to make up this money. It's not fair. But really, all these other countries, it's not fair that you're getting our taxpayer money to help fund your governments. You all need to figure it out, especially considering most of Europe is way, way heavier taxed. So you guys are obviously wasting way more money, and like many people have said, they need their own version of Doge. That's unquestionable. China issued a warning on Tuesday night that it stands ready for any type of war with the United States in the aftermath of tariffs imposed hours earlier by the Trump administration. A spokesperson for the Chinese Foreign Ministry said the tariffs would not lead to a resolution of U.S. concerns about fentanyl originating in China. Quote, if the U.S. truly wants to solve the fentanyl issue, then the right thing to do is to consult with China on the basis of equality, mutual respect, and mutual benefit to address each other's concerns. If the U.S. has other agenda in mind, and if war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end, they said. So, of course, trying to spin it up a little further, we've got Pete Hegseth, that I think was on Fox, talking about this.
By the Chinese embassy, quote, if war is what the U.S. wants, be it a tariff war, a trade war, or any other type of war, we're ready to fight till the end. As Secretary of Defense, how do you take that?
Well, we're prepared. Those who long for peace must prepare for war. That's why we're rebuilding our military. That's why we're reestablishing deterrence and the warrior ethos, is because we live in a dangerous world with powerful ascendant countries with very different ideologies. You mentioned defense spending. They're rapidly increasing their defense spending. Modern technology. They want to supplant the United States. If we want to deter war with the Chinese or others, we have to be strong. And that president understands peace comes through strength. He also has a great relationship with that gentleman right there, too, Xi Jinping. So where we can partner, where we can cooperate to recognize that we don't want war with China, we don't seek that war, we will. And the president has sought historic peace and historic opportunities. But my job as the Secretary of Defense is to make sure we're ready. We need the defense spending, the capabilities, the weapons, and the posture in the Indo-Pacific, which is something we're very much focusing on.
China.
Good posture, keep the shoulders pulled back a little bit. You want to, it's good posture. Got to have it. Got to be posturing. Folks, the world's getting weird. I hope you know this. Again, you could be tied into a 401k or an IRA. That is the deep state system. It is your wealth. It is your years you've been amassing this money and putting it into this giant basket, right? So you've got a lot of eggs in that one basket. Things are kind of getting crazy, and it would be a shame if something happened. And we've got earnings reports that are going to be reduced down. We've got the tariff stuff is going to affect things in weird ways, plus the stuff that happens between Canada, Mexico, England, China. There is major stuff going on. This is going to impact the stock market somewhere, shape, or form. Be prepared for it. You can get out of their system, or at least diversify a bunch of those eggs out of that system, tax-free, penalty-free, into precious metals. It's a precious metals IRA. You can continue to invest in that precious metals IRA, or you can just take a bunch of the eggs out of that basket, put it into a precious metals IRA, and continue to fund your 401k like you normally do, right? You've got maybe a work where they match some of that. Totally fine. Shift some of those eggs out while the shifting is good. Stock market's pretty good right now, probably as good as it's going to be. We did have a little bit of a scare yesterday, and I think we've got some more coming in the future. My good friends at Goldco can help you do this. They may not buy in all the crazy crap I talk about, but what they can do is help you set this up tax-free, penalty-free, and very quickly. They're super good at it. They've got the best customer service out there. You're going to love the experience. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Their deep state system is coming down. Right now, you can get up to 10% of 10% free gold, or 10% of your face value in free gold, and say it like that. Also a chance to get this Ronald Reagan coin. It's a half-ounce collectible coin. So it's pure silver, 0.999% anyways. It's close to pure as you're generally going to get. And again, just a lot of neat stuff that you can get. You, of course, are going to get your Trump future, know your financial future, and, of course, your unlimited guide to gold and silver. Help protect your wealth. And that's, again, gold and silver. Gold's up about 38% over the last 12 months. The stock market's up, at least I was looking at NASDAQ, is up, it was about 20%, which is still pretty good. Don't get me wrong. But gold's up 38%. And that's what's going on. Things are getting strange, and gold is still continuing to spike. And who knows what's going to happen when we finally do manage to get inside of Fort Knox, right? Again, do you want to stay in their system, waiting, assuming that Trump is going to fix all this? He is, ultimately, but I think he's there for the collapse, not so much there to fix what's already extraordinarily broken. We're going to see how it plays out. It's just one of the reasons why, in my mind, it's not safe staying in their system. Get out while you can. Go to drslikesgold.com, drslikesgold.com. Get out of that crazy system before they get out of you. And that is their plan for sure. $375 billion EPA slush fund that was being handled by John Podesta. He was giving billions to charities that were literally founded only months before. It seems the Biden administration, towards the ending, their last year for sure, was creating a whole bunch of little LLCs and all this different sort of, well, I don't even know if they're LLCs because they're nonprofits, I think. But they were all created shortly before. And then Biden gives $375 billion EPA slush fund, and gee whiz, all of a sudden they start giving billions of dollars to these different recently founded organizations. Yes, obviously, these were the payoffs that were being set up. Now, whether or not they're able to claw this back, we'll see. I'm sure more information is going to continue to come around this, but I guess even in one case, well, look at this. Former Vice President Kamala Harris handed over a check for nearly $7 billion to Bethesda, Maryland-based group Climate United Fund, which does not appear in the IRS charities database and has no federal filings. Yet they just got $7 billion of your money and my money. Yeah. That's just one example. We know there's plenty others. And we know that money generally tends to circle back around, kind of like Jen Psaki was fond of doing. It circles back right into their pockets. The Supreme Court, in a 5-4 emergency ruling Wednesday, refused to halt a judge's decision ordering the Trump administration to immediately release $2 billion in foreign aid payments owed under existing contracts. It hands a loss to the administration in the first time that Trump's efforts to drastically reshape federal spending. This is concerning. Now, Chief Justice Roberts and Justice Amy Coney Barrett were both of the two people that joined with the court's 3 liberal judges to create the 5-4. Now, we know John Roberts is, well, we know we've heard, let's put it that way, that there is potentially some interesting things in his background. I heard there's something to do with an adoption that's maybe questionable. I've also heard the potentiality that he's been to Epstein Island. Who knows, right? I'm not saying he has. And if he has, I want him to get his day in court. But Amy Coney Barrett, on the other hand, from what a lot of speculators are saying, or people that maybe have some insight into the matter, let's call it, they are claiming that when Kavanaugh was threatened and the guy basically drove out there with a gun and planned on shooting him and probably his family, that freaked out Amy extraordinarily, like freaked her out. She got very, very scared of the possibility of her family being injured, the fact that the Biden administration wasn't doing anything to protect them. So there's a strong chance that she is scared to go against the deep state because of what might very well happen with her family. I can't argue right wrong. It's one thing to say, yeah, if I was in that position, I would totally risk the lives of my family, the people that I love most, because of my importance, right? But that's not easy to do. In fact, most people don't. Some of us maybe chose to keep those circles smaller in our lives because we knew that would always be sort of a problem. But this is well, it's pissing a lot of people off. Justice Alito, he's really pissed off about this. He's stunned by the majority's failure to call out lower courts' judicial hubris in the case considering the Trump administration's foreign aid spending freeze. Alito joined Justice Clarence Thomas, Neil Gorsuch, and Brett Kavanaugh, slammed his colleagues in a dissent for neglecting their duty to ensure that the power entrusted to federal judges by the Constitution is not abused. Does a single district court judge who likely lacks jurisdiction have the unchecked power to compel the government of the United States to pay out, and probably lose forever, $2 billion of taxpayer money? Alito questioned. The answer to that question should be an emphatic no. But a majority of this court apparently thinks otherwise. I am stunned. Alito wrote that the district court's order was too extreme a response. A federal court has many tools to address a party's supposed nonfeasance, Alito wrote. Self-aggrandizement of its jurisdiction is not one of them. I love the fact that he's busting it out because, yeah, it's just a freaking mess. Now, again, these contracts that are already due, I don't know, like maybe there's a legality thing in there, but at least from some of the other angles of information that I came across, sounds like these guys are scared. Roberts, I think, is compromised anyway, and I think Coney Barrett is likely scared for her family, or just didn't answer a bunch of stuff correctly, or our background check was, whatever. Mike Davis has posted this: with the Supreme Court's refusal today to rein in D.C. activist judges sabotaging the president's Article 2 executive power, Congress must step up. Article 3 Project is drafting proposed legislation to bring much-needed reforms to the D.C. District Court. Gloves are coming off, so we'll see where this battle gets us, but it's time to have this battle of the courts. USDA employees fired en masse by Trump administration have been reinstated. A workers' board. This is an interesting one here to me. So workers, they basically were firing 6,000 probationary workers from the Department of Agriculture. Well, the order by the Merit Systems Protection Board, which is another one of those independent executive agencies, they undercut President Donald Trump's attempt to downsize the federal civil service and is a major indication that the mass layoffs were unlawful and may eventually be reversed by the board. It also signals the board may reverse the Trump administration's approach to mass firings across several other agencies in the federal government. So we've got an independent board that literally can undo the executor of the executive branch. This obviously is not legal. We'll see what happens with the courts. This is going to be an interesting time. It's going to be a very interesting time, and these are the things that make the Brunson case a lot more possible, that's for sure. Trump DOJ uses footnote to rescind Merrick Garland memo targeting parents as domestic terrorists. Bondi announced the creation of a weaponization working group, which is slated to examine, among other things, the Biden DOJ in their investigation of parents of school children who expressed sincere, good faith concerns at local government meetings. In a largely overlooked footnote, she also wrote that for the avoidance of doubt, former Attorney General Garland's October 4th, 2021 memorandum is hereby rescinded. Garland's directive was revoked with little fanfare in Bondi's February 5th memo, the day after her confirmation by the Senate. This whole article goes into all of the nonsense with that and how they labeled parents and the way that this little footnotes or this ruling continued to happen, the way Merrick Garland kind of lied about it or sort of just spoke with. It was kind of one of those things where they're playing word games, but again, a long article, long story short, she rescinded it. Congressman Pete Sessions is introducing a bill banning universal mail-in voting and electronic voting machines and shortening the early vote period from months to 3 days. This is a game changer. We need to be able to get this stuff going. I guess I wish that was him talking. Mesa mandates the exclusive use of hand-marked paper ballots for all federal elections and primaries receiving public funds. This eliminates reliance on vulnerable electronic systems, ensuring a tamper-proof, human-verifiable process that reflects voters' true intent. The bill requires every voter to present a government-issued photo, such as a driver's license, passport, or military, and sign an affidavit in the paper poll book affirming U.S. citizenship and single voting intent under penalty of felony charges. Early and post-person voting is limited to 3 days prior to the election. The final Tuesday of voting, streamlining administration and concentrating resources for secure, manageable hand counts while maintaining voter access. Mailed ballots are restricted to active duty military personnel stationed away from their jurisdiction and voters with physician-certified medical conditions preventing in-person voting. Mesa mandates paper poll books as the primary voter check-in method and caps precinct size at 1,500 registered voters, returning elections to community-based, transparent operations that facilitate efficient hand counting and local oversight. This will seriously go down as one of the greatest pieces of legislation in history, and this is the only way to stop the election fraud industrial complex forever. We have to change elections, unquestionable. Unquestionable. Nicole Shanahan funds recall effort against L.A. Mayor Karen Bass. She was the one that ran as the VP for Robert F. Kennedy Jr. when he was running. She's now pulling some millions together. She's got some contacts, and they are literally funding a recall effort to get rid of the mayor of Los Angeles, which is going to be fantastic. Got some sanctuary city stuff going on. This was actually pretty good. This was Comer once again, and he is kind of shutting down the whole movement around the, what was this? This is the, shucks, I forget what he's talking about. Oh, sanctuary cities, right. Talking to the mayors. Oof, wow. And thank God that's why I put it up there, because I knew I wouldn't remember. Because it doesn't say anything. It doesn't help me, people. But yeah, he nails this one. And I think he's talking to 4 of them and gets them all to admit. And by the way, happy Ash Wednesday to all you Catholics out there. And I forgot this chick is obviously Catholic because she's got the thing on her forehead. But yeah, check it out.
Officials, including corrections officers, from assisting and cooperating with any investigation, detention, or arrest procedures related to federal immigration laws. The city also stated that federal immigration authorities shall not be granted access or allowed to use the secure areas of any city or county jail. Mayor Johnson, is Denver a sanctuary city?
A lot of folks use that term.
Yes or no?
Sorry, Mr. Chairman. Folks use that term differently. I can tell you what Denver does. We do not.
Okay, I take that as a yes. Mayor Johnson, no, yes or no? I take that as a yes. Mayor Johnson, on March 10th, 2023, you posted on X that Chicago must lead and live by the promise to be a sanctuary city. Is Chicago a sanctuary city?
A 40-year policy of being a welcoming city.
Yes.
A 40-year policy of a welcoming city.
Mayor Wu, in November 2024, you gave an interview noting that you served on the city council a decade ago when the Boston Trust Act was first passed. You said in that interview that in terms of Boston's policy, there is a prohibition on resources and personnel going to enforce civil immigration detainers, meaning Boston police and other departments cannot cooperate with ICE when it comes to detaining on civil warrants. Mayor, is Boston a sanctuary city?
Boston is a safe city.
I take that as a yes. And Mayor Adams, on November 12, 2024, you said, quote, this is a sanctuary city, but I must comment that you have, of the witnesses today of the major cities, you have publicly stated that you were willing to work with ICE on detaining the most criminal illegals, and I want to publicly thank you for that. But my question to you, sir, is New York City a sanctuary city?
Based on our classification, yes.
Okay. Last year, in a Boston suburb, an illegal alien raped and impregnated his 14-year-old daughter while living in a shelter for illegal aliens. Mayor Wu, under Boston law, would you turn this criminal over to ICE on a detainer?
Whenever there's a criminal warrant, Boston police enforce that and hold people accountable.
So would you turn that criminal over to ICE?
This happened outside the city of Boston, but I can tell you in the city, whenever someone commits a crime, whenever there's a criminal warrant, we hold them accountable. If ICE deems that they are dangerous enough to obtain a criminal warrant, and the Boston police will enforce it.
Will you turn that criminal over to ICE?
We follow the laws, and we make sure that everyone...
In Chicago, an illegal alien who is a suspected member of a violent foreign gang who was brought into custody for his potential involvement in a murder. He was released when Cook County declined to press charges. This illegal alien is also facing charges for kidnapping and sexually assaulting his former girlfriend last year. Now he's on the streets. Mayor Johnson, under Chicago law, would you turn this criminal over to ICE on a detainer?
Our local law enforcement works hard every day to get criminals off the streets of Chicago.
Would you turn that criminal over to ICE? That's the problem. That's one of the topics of this conversation. That's one of the problems we've heard from Tom Hammond and from the Homeland Security, is that in your cities, when someone's apprehended for a crime, and ICE is now, with this new federal policy, wanting to come in and deport the criminal alien, that you will not cooperate with ICE. Will you turn that criminal over to ICE?
And we do not harbor criminals. Our local police department works hard every single day to ensure that the city of Chicago is
Yes
safe.
or no? Will you turn the criminal over to ICE?
With a criminal warrant from the federal government, our local law enforcement repeatedly collaborates with federal agents.
So you're saying publicly today, you will turn that alien over to ICE in a safe place like a jail, and not turn him out on the street and say, here you go, ICE, good luck. You will turn that criminal over to ICE.
With a criminal warrant, as we have done for 40 years.
Should that criminal be turned over to ICE?
With a
Mayor?
criminal warrant, they are subject to the federal laws, and that includes deportation.
My time has expired, but again, the point that we've got to iron out today is that we have to have cooperation. It is federal law to turn over those illegal criminals to ICE. And we have heard reports, and many of you have said publicly, that you are going to obstruct that. That is against the law.
Criminal warrant kept getting brought up over and over and over, right?
Local law.
Now, first off, I just got to say really quick, this dude just reminds me of like Kevin Hart. I kept expecting, it's like Kevin Hart in disguise. I kept waiting for him to say something funny. It was like weird. It's such like a dry version. But yeah, criminal warrant, over and over, criminal warrant. Well, and I'm curious, and I will hopefully get an answer to this. Hopefully some of you guys maybe even know. But criminal warrant, why would that be so difficult for ICE to get a criminal warrant for somebody that's committed a crime in another place? I'm guessing because ICE doesn't really have federal jurisdiction like that, but they should just hand them off. Like, just naturally be like, here's somebody that's a bad dude. ICE, can you come take them away? Because we don't want to waste taxpayer dollars keeping them in jail. So again, this obviously is somewhat more complex, and I think Comer was trying to make it seem simpler than it is. But we've got Maureen Comey. She's the head of the Epstein prosecution. She's also the head of the P. Diddy prosecution. Folks, you can't make this stuff up. She's the head of both of those prosecutions. Comey's daughter. Rep. Luna announces she is referring all 4 sanctuary city mayors to AG Bondi for criminal prosecution. I'm not sure how I didn't actually listen to this, and I'm assuming Eric Adams has been pretty chill and cool, so I don't know if that's fair, but whatever. This is interesting.
So you don't believe that banning the transfer of individuals into ICE custody for the purpose of civil immigration enforcement encourages illegal immigration into Chicago? Or how about agencies, or agents not being able to stop, arrest, or detain individuals based solely on their immigration status or administrative warrant?
So we comply with all laws, local, state, and federal.
To me, after this line of questioning, it's very clear that these policies that you have all implicated are active and alive and well in your cities, are in direct violation with U.S. Title 8 Code subsection 1324, and is a federal offense. But you all speak about a broken immigration system, and yet here you guys are aiding and abetting in that entire process. I want to be very clear about something. Open border policies, which is something that you guys are talking about, hurts people on both sides, meaning the people that are coming here illegally and then American citizens as well. I do not think you guys are bad people, but I think that you are ideologically misled, which is why, unfortunately, based on your responses, I'm all going to be criminally referring you to the Department of Justice for investigation. And as soon as I leave here, these will be going over to Pam Bondi. I'm not doing that in an effort to bully you guys, but I do believe that your policies are hurting the American people, and you can make that known with the evidence that you can present to the Department of Justice. But if you guys continue doing what you're doing, you're not going to help anyone. You're going to hurt more people, and that's exactly why I'm tired of it. The American people are tired of it. And Chairman, I yield my time.
Would you yield your last minute?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, we're all tired of it. That is unquestionable. So, yeah, people are doing things to try to make a difference. Bowser signals the end of the BLM Plaza after GOP pushes to axe funding. It's kind of interesting that she actually caved on this one, but she is going to paint over that area, suggesting, was she going to turn it into something else? I forgot what it was. Shared a statement, we can't afford to distract meaningless crap, but yes, whatever. Evolution of Black Lives Matter. Yeah, that whole thing. That was all because of Floyd. I saw somewhere. It might have been in the post that shared that. Trump seeks to put 443 federal properties up for sale. The expectation is it's going to save us a crap ton of money, about $430 million annually. Extrapolate that out a little bit. That's a few billion dollars that we're saving over the next 10 years. That's for sure. A couple few, yeah. 443 non-core assets posted by the General Service Administration Tuesday. There's so many of them across 47 states. It's about 80 million rentable square feet, 12 times the size of the Pentagon. That's just empty. That we can consolidate people into smaller buildings. Departments don't need their own building. Again, this is just how poorly we've been run for so long. The Department of Veterans Affairs is planning an aggressive reorganization that includes cutting 80,000 jobs, trying to get themselves down to staffing levels of 2019 at around 400,000 employees. One would speculate they're around 480,000 employees right now. Almost 500,000 people work at this one particular group within the government. Now, again, these are important services. Everybody knows that. But what most people don't seem to be able to figure out, one, is the level of inefficiency. Two, the level of so many people that just think that the government owes them, that we as taxpayers owe them. And so if they take forever to do what they're going to do, then so be it. We take forever doing what we're going to do. What are you going to do about it? Well, we're going to fire you. That's what we're going to do about it. We've got a bunch of people that are not doing their jobs well. I'd like to see them fire people kind of based off of merits. Probationary is good for me, in my opinion. That just means you were just recently hired. If you were recently hired and you're not even past 90 days, which would imply the probationary, then yeah, you should go. Sorry, sucks, but that's better than somebody that's been there a long time, actually knows what the hell they're doing. Then from there, we start to dig into merit-based. Whatever the case is, they're going to try to cut 80,000 jobs. That will obviously help make a difference. Senator Kennedy is just being awesome yet once again. Now, we kind of covered some of this already, but not this version of it. So again, I don't know how he got extra time or what, but this whole idea of unfunding NPR or, well, really, as he says, any media at all, be it public radio, public print, public anything, or even commercial, like Reuters, Politico, stuff like that. He's like, no, we're not funding any of that nonsense. But here's Kennedy talking about it. And I think it's powerful stuff, what he's saying, and I love it. So please check it out.
Here's one of the headlines at NPR. Arguments that trans athletes have an unfair advantage lack evidence to support. That's opinion journalism. Here's another headline from NPR. A brief history of how racism shaped interstate highways. I did not know our interstate highways were racist. I thought they were concrete. But not according to NPR. Here's another NPR headline. Trump embodies nearly every aspect of a racist, Arthur says. Another, The Nation, confronting Trump's coded racism. Another, is Trump's call for law and order a coded racial message? As I said, these are your tax dollars at work. Sexism is out in the open in the 2016 campaign. That may have been inevitable. It's another headline. Is Trump really that racist? Another headline. Another headline, Frontline traces the ambition and revenge driving SCOTUS Justice Clarence Thomas. NPR is reporting that Justice Thomas is motivated by revenge and ambition. Another headline from NPR. What can the White House do to confront the narrative around Biden's ability? It wasn't a narrative. I don't hate anybody, and I'm sorry this was the case, but President Biden had neurodegenerative disease. It wasn't a narrative. It was just a fact. I'm sorry, but it was just a fact. Last headline from NPR I'll read. Scientists start to tease out the subtler ways racism hurts health. Your tax dollars at work. Now, I don't want to just pick on NPR. Here are a couple that you saw on that you saw on television, PBS, paid for with your tax dollars. First headline, talking to young children about race and racism. Another headline, how America's history of racism connects to divisions today. Another headline from PBS, the hidden racism of young white Americans. Your tax dollars. Another headline, AP fact check. Trump seeds race animus with COVID falsehood. Another headline, Biden trumpets economic gains but struggles to get credit. Another headline from PBS, the other Olympians, transgender athletes in the Nazi area. Come on. Give me a break. Gag me with a spoon. And the final headline I'll read, debunking common myths about gender-affirming care for youth. Now, let me say it again, Mr. President. These television stations and radio stations that are getting money from the federal government, your tax dollars have every right under the First Amendment to say these things. They do. And I support the First Amendment. But they don't have an inalienable right to report these things using opinion journalism that no fair-minded American can construe as anything but representing one point of view with your tax dollars. I'm going to try to stop subsidizing media, not just PBS and not just NPR, but any form of media that somehow is getting federal taxpayer dollars. It's just not right. It's not fair. I have a bill to do that, and we're also going to pursue it through reconciliation. And I think President Trump and Mr. Musk are going to pursue it on their own, and I think that's a very good thing. And with that, Mr. President, I thank you for your time and attention, and I suggest the absence of a quorum.
It also demonstrates propaganda and the way propaganda works and how it works. Left-leaning rags are where left-leaning thought processes happen, just that groups find themselves, right? Because all of us tend to find ourselves in silos that we enjoy. We like the news that comes out of it. We like the information that they're sharing. We like the way they share it, right? A whole lot of that. And so a lot of these left-leaning situations, they use the same narratives, and this is really what starts to, I think, cause a lot of the problems that we've got, is it starts to seed racism and all of this, and they do it all over the place. I mean, there's so many examples. That was kind of one of the reasons I thought it was worth the time, not just because I love Kennedy. I love Senator Kennedy. This guy's funny as hell. But because this is literally where we were funding our own propaganda. Unquestionably. We're coming a long way. And I think there's a lot of people that expect answers immediately, but it's like we've got to understand this is, and by the way, and this is something I think is funny because I heard another video recently talking about it, and they're like, and when disclosure happens, I think a lot of us have heard of this day of disclosure, this day that we're going to, the TVs are going to be on for 10 days or whatever the hell, right? We're going to get disclosure. Maybe, but I think what we're living through is disclosure right now. And a lot of people said we were going to get the slow rollout because we weren't ready for fast disclosure. And everybody's like, that's not true. We're in the slow rollout and we can barely handle that. So, and it's hard for us to acknowledge that we're finding out how jacked up stuff was. And there's layers on top of layers on top of layers on top of layers. Many of us get fixated on certain parts of it. Like I saw somebody that I have reasonable respect for that was pissed off that the Epstein list is getting so much attention right now when it comes to Pam Bondi and releasing the documents and all that. But they're like, well, but that wasn't part of like the Kennedy was, those documents were, made not top secret anymore or whatever, right? They opened up so everybody can see them. And how come all of those aren't available yet? And again, yeah, it depends what you're interested in. If John F. Kennedy is almost more important to you because it really, in many's minds, is like this is the start of what, created this. He wanted to smash the Central Intelligence Agency into 1,000 pieces into the wind. And, they got 6 ways from Sunday of getting even with you. And they figured out a good one. So the world's a lot more messed up than most of us realize. We have to take it down in layers, too. And it's a pain in the ass. And so I don't think any of us really, even people like me and you, are totally ready for the full opening, right? Like it'd be like, oh shit, I didn't see that one come, right? Like there'd probably be some things that would screw with us too, that maybe we need to be kind of inched up a little further. Whatever. Canadians are removing all their American-made liquor off the shelves because they're getting even with us. This tariff and stuff. Which is kind of funny. I mean, if people want to buy them, they probably would have sold the crap ton of it because any new product would require the tariff. You don't tariff something that's already in your country, right? But it's cool. Like, if you want to punish your own people, that's frankly what you're doing. I mean, I've had some of the Canadian whiskey and stuff. It's not bad. It's pretty good. You know, I'm not saying ours is better, but it is. That's all I'm saying. I mean, the Canadian stuff's really good. I'm just kidding. I'm just giving shit. We've got a couple interesting posts here. President Trump truthed both of these, and it's about Canada. It said, Justin Trudeau of Canada called me to ask what could be done about the tariffs. I told him that many people have died from fentanyl that came through the borders of Canada and Mexico, and nothing has convinced me that it has stopped. He said that it's gotten better, but I said that's not good enough. The call ended in a somewhat friendly manner. He was unable to tell me when the Canadian election is taking place, which made me curious, like, what's going on here? I then realized he is trying to use this issue to stay in power. Good luck, Justin. That's gnarly. That is one of many shots across the bow that Trump is doing. He did another one with the Democrats. We've got the video. He literally points at him and then talks about child trafficking. This is the same thing. Literally calling out Trudeau. You're trying to stay in power. He also truthed this out. For anyone who is interested, I also told Governor Justin Trudeau of Canada that he largely caused the problems we have with them because of his weak border policies, which allowed tremendous amounts of fentanyl and illegal aliens to pour into the United States. These policies are responsible for the death of many people. So, yeah, Trump's not too happy with them. Tariffs on cars from Mexico and Canada have been delayed by 1 month. This is probably just to slow down the pain to the United States, because many of the cars that are made there. I think there was, Lantis? What were the ones they call them out in here someplace? Stellantis, there you go, that brand. Ford, General Motors. They do a lot of manufacturing in these two locations. It's going to suck for their brands. Their cars are suddenly going to become more expensive. Now, again, Trump isn't so much trying to destroy these companies, though think of their stock prices. I'm telling you guys, a lot of little things. But he's also trying to get them to bring manufacturing back to the United States. If we need to give more visas to people to come and work in these factories because there's not enough Americans after we build them, which I doubt will be the case, then so be it. But at least the manufacturing's happening here. We're able to make our own stuff, and we can make it, green and clean, really, as much as we can. I mean, not like stupidly so. I mean, but yeah. I mean, I don't want to be just belching out smoke into the air like anybody else. And I don't think Trump does either, for that matter. We'll see, but I doubt it. I think we're all about trying to make the world better, but still not necessarily kill everybody in the process. That would be at least the big takeaway I'm seeing. Coriolus versicolor. It's a mushroom. It's a mushroom that is you add it to your food and eat it. And it's been shown to increase your immune system's abilities to fight things extraordinarily well. Now, it's weird. There are also a lot of studies. Even I had a guy on my channel that talked about how he took a bunch of this. He took high doses of it. And you can't OD on it. That's the cool thing about it. You can literally just eat this mushroom all day long, and other than what happens when you sit down later, I mean, that might be scary, but you're not going to get sick. You're not going to get hurt. It's not a drug. Nothing happens like that. It's literally just like a supplement. It's a mushroom. It's like eating your regular mushrooms, portobellos or whatever. There you go, right? Here you go. Shiitake. Well, we've got Coriolus versicolor. Here's the thing. It shows a huge help when it comes to cancer type stuff. I don't know if it depends on the tumors, I don't know, but there's been a number of different studies and different eyewitnesses and different, people talking about their experiences. Also with animals, by the way, dogs, cats, horses, very strong studies showing this helps with those animals a lot. And again, it comes down to dosage. In the case of the person I knew, he was on my show, Baby Trump. He took normal, they say you take 50, you take one pill for every 50 pounds, right? And he was probably, I don't know, probably $180, 200 maybe at best. He was a little shorter, I think, but he's buff as hell, right? And so he was probably taking, I think, something like 16 of them a day or, 12 a day, something like that. 3 times, 4 times what you normally would be doing. And it went away. Now, that implies that it's actually got sort of a parasitic possible connection. That there's something within this that might actually help things like that. Now, I'd be curious from the people that are pet owners, if you notice any difference with things like fleas and other stuff. I know a lot of us do put them on the drops, which is another reason why a lot of our pets get sick. Whatever the case is, if you go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com, it's danradiostyle.petclub247.com. These products are amazing. They help your immune system. You'll notice the difference. Again, you just start feeling kind of healthier. It starts making a difference. And depending, I've got some friends that are doing a mixture of like we've talked about on the wellness channel, right? The cleanse, the parasitic cleanse, but essentially mebendazole and ivermectin. And then, of course, this product is a huge helper for a lot of people that are trying to fight different things. Again, a lot of research suggests, and you guys can be one of the additional people that proves it to everybody else. As far as the different products, they've got a lot of ways to do it. Dogs and cats. Treats are always a fun way to at least just get some of it in their system. If it's an animal that needs more, they've got like a special sauce that I guess is kind of thick. I don't know. And you kind of maybe mix it in with the food or whatever. They've got different freeze-dried foods or regular different foods, canned foods that you can also use that will help get that in their system. And so there's a lot of different ways you can do it without just constantly giving them treats. But they've got some of those too. Chill doggies, like cold, like hot dog type things that got them. Mutt mints if you got a stinky breath dog. That's another good one. So it's a lot of ways that you can get it in. Mush puppies is like a cookie. It's what most of them do. If you've got a mixture of dogs and cats, Mojo's is probably what you might want to do. That's like a liver treat, and that's what cats have. And then cats have kind of food and special sauce and other stuff. Horses have just mush ponies, which again is like the cookie, but the horsey style. They've got a bunch of ways you can buy those. And then humans, we don't have any well, we do have cookies actually, but we have chocolate chip cookies that have the Coriolis versicolor in it. The gummies are outstanding. They're really tasty. They're really tasty. Almost too good. But so you can buy them as a twin pack, which is a really good deal. $59.99 versus $34.99 for a single pack. But the gummies are a really great way to do it, not just for your kids, but for you. You might as well just get the one thing. So that's an awesome way to check into it. But I would seriously go to danradiostyle.petclub247.com. That's danradiostyle.petclub247.com. They've also got the pills that get it into you. There's a lot of fun ways, and the product is surprisingly good. It also helps the animals a lot. danradiostyle.petclub247.com. All right, let's get into the address. Oh, that was close. Let's get into the address and show some video of that. That was a lot of fun. Here was Trump coming in.
Mr. Speaker, the President of the United States.
I don't know what it is. Like it kind of grosses me out a little bit for some reason. No, I love Trump, and it would be great to meet him. But I am not one to ever glom. I'm not one to actually be like weird. I'm not one to fawn over people at all. In fact, it's gross to me. It's just weird. So it's strange how people are. It just seems so fake. Whatever the case is, Trump coming in was pretty awesome. Let's see if I can actually get out of there. Cool. And we got some more goodies of Trump. Oh, this new little clap that the Republicans have learned. I didn't see this one coming. I didn't know that they are going to have some dance moves, essentially, or claps. Let's call they have some claps going on. Just check this out.
House Democrats or Senate Democrats there just in terms of physically approaching the president or his cabinet. House Democrats or...
Yeah, see? Like clap, clap, clap. Like, I mean, not just clapping. No. Clapping with a purpose, people. Just like that. Like we practiced. I don't know. Seems like they're doing a good job. Again, not trying to make fun. Just, it's funny. This was kind of stupid too. Musk steals, save Medicaid, and false. They had like their little ping pong paddles where they could, they had a couple different things that they could, say, yes, no, or whatever. Consensual. Sorry, brings back memories. But yeah, so they were being kind of retarded. Major investment in U.S. since Inauguration Day, because they keep talking about how Trump sucks and he's not doing anything good. And I can't think of any investment that Biden brought into this country other than expenditures to non-government organizations that are Soros-based or something else. But Saudi Arabia bringing in $600 billion, Apple $500 billion, OpenAI, Oracle, SoftBank $500 billion. That's 1.6 for those of you keeping track at home. And then TSMC, that's that chip manufacturing company, the one that's got the denser chip versus the smaller chip, basically. Smaller transistor, there's the proper term. Anyway, it was fun. We talked about it. It made me dig into it a little bit. It was actually kind of fun. They're giving $100 billion to build some factories here, which is going to be fantabulous. So good stuff there. That's a lot of money. This dude, Alan Green, isn't Alan Green also a singer? I hope it's not this guy, because the singer guy's pretty cool, but this guy sucks. And I like his kind of pompous golden cane. His cane's got like a gold handle on it. I just think it's very pompous. But, yeah, spoiler alert. Let's put it this way. This is what happens when you F around. He actually finds out.
Finding that members continue to engage in willful and concerted disruption of proper decorum, the chair now directs the Sergeant-at-Arms to restore order. Remove this gentleman from the chamber. Members are directed.
Right. Yeah, he didn't survive. He found out. Now, I don't know if that was expected or not. Probably. He had a prepared speech. You could tell Mike Johnson's like, all right, good. Yeah, sweet. I get to do this. He's like, here's the speech. Boom. I already had it on top because I knew this was coming. Beautiful. Beautiful moment. Trump talking about the Democrats. And literally, he's like, I'm inviting you guys to help make things better. Like, I could be the greatest thing in the world and you would never, ever, ever give me credit for anything.
This is my fifth such speech to Congress. And once again, I look at the Democrats in front of me and I realize there is absolutely nothing I can say to make them happy or to make them stand or smile or applaud. Nothing I can do. I could find a cure to the most devastating disease, a disease that would wipe out entire nations, or announce the answers to the greatest economy in history, or the stoppage of crime to the lowest levels ever recorded. And these people sitting right here will not clap, will not stand, and certainly will not cheer for these astronomical achievements. They won't do it, no matter what. Five times I've been up here. It's very sad. And it just shouldn't be this way. So Democrats sitting before me, for just this one night, why not join us in celebrating so many incredible wins for America? For the good of our nation, let's work together and let's truly make America great again.
Musk steals that one. I love it. I love it. It's just insane. This is another one of the moments that are just insane. Democrats refused to stand up for Laken Riley's mom and sister. None of them. For Laken Riley, even. Now, it gets worse, believe it or not. This might be the worst. If not, it's coming. Oh, no, we're going to do this first. Because, again, to demonstrate the hypocrisy, to demonstrate how the deep state, I'm going to say, but really the Democrats, the blind, follow this stuff. But it was funny how what wasn't okay and what they trashed Trump for and literally tried to prosecute, in many cases still are trying to prosecute him for, election denying, yet they do the same thing. It's funny.
Saying the race was rigged. Are you concerned what that could do the day after?
Well, yes, I'm awfully concerned about this talk about this campaign being rigged. As a matter of fact, Donald Trump is trying to set up a scenario where when he loses, he's going to be able to say that it was taken from him, that the campaign had been rigged. And you know, it's so unpatriotic for him to do this. For African Americans who have fought so hard to strengthen our democracy, turned it over to him. And we don't know everything that Elon Musk has done with his high technology ass. We don't know what he's been accused of by some, as it may relate to the election. But we're not going to give up in investigating and finding.
So they can say, which again, let's audit the elections, Maxine. What do you say? I'm there with you. Let's audit. Let's do it. I triple dog dare you. By the way, sweetheart, you are not aging well. I don't know how long has this been? She's poor thing. I know. I feel bad. You know, like she's definitely crossed that point of no return. It sounds or seems like. President Trump talking about trying to make a giant gas pipeline. God, he talked about so many things last night. This is cool, though.
Past 6 weeks, I have signed nearly 100 executive orders and taken more than 400 executive actions, a record to restore common sense, safety, optimism, and wealth all across our wonderful land. The people elected me to do the job, and I'm doing it. In fact, it has been stated by many that the first month of our presidency, it's our presidency, is the most successful in the history of our nation. By many. Past 6 weeks, I have signed nearly.
I love it when they sneak it in. It's great when it's just over a minute because then they don't repeat it. But yeah, so he did a lot of great stuff last night. See if we can roll through some of this. Here's some more of Trump talking to the Democrats when he talks about human traffickers and points at them.
Over the past 4 years, 21 million people poured into the United States. Many of them were murderers, human traffickers, gang members, and other criminals from the streets of dangerous cities all throughout the world. Because of Joe Biden's insane and very dangerous open border policies, they are now strongly embedded in our country. But we are getting them out and getting them out fast.
I was telling my girlfriend, I was laughing about it last night. I'm like, here's the funniest thing, honey, is like with the Democrats tomorrow, the Republicans tomorrow. Democrats don't have this problem. The Republicans tomorrow, their legs are going to be sore. And she's like, why? And I said, because of the up, down, like the whole time. My hands hurt too, shit. Yeah, it's going to be kind of funny. 6 years ago today, DJ Daniel was diagnosed with brain cancer. The Democrats didn't stand up for this kid either. This was also, in my opinion, an awkward moment. I don't know, the way his dad held him up. He's 13, so I guess that matters. He looked like he was older than that, but this kid's had a tough road in his life. We're actually going to give him, he's that 1 minute long thing where you're going to be like, holy shit. So yeah, it's, wow. And then the Democrats didn't stand up for him either.
Joining us in the gallery tonight is a young man who truly loves our police. His name is DJ Daniel. He is 13 years old, and he has always dreamed of becoming a police officer. But in 2018, DJ was diagnosed with brain cancer. The doctors gave him 5 months at most to live. That was more than 6 years ago. Since that time, DJ and his dad have been on a quest to make his dream come true, and DJ has been sworn in as an honorary law enforcement officer, actually a number of times. The police love him, the police departments love him. And tonight, DJ, we're going to do you the biggest honor of them all. I am asking our new Secret Service Director, Sean Curran, to officially make you an agent of the United States Secret Service.
And here's the best part. This video's coming up next. He immediately takes this power and he arrests Nancy Pelosi right on. Let me pull this video. He arrests Nancy Pelosi. No, he doesn't. He doesn't. I'm just fucking with you. Sorry, I had to. Couldn't resist. Couldn't. This is super sad, and that's why I'm joking, because I can't handle sad shit. You guys know that. Sad songs say so much, though. All said, this kid's had a really tough ride, and they didn't stand for him.
But you wanna know the craziest part? Because my mom bathes me and my brothers all together, and out of nowhere I locked up, and then my dad was calling my name, and I started going to the slow thing, and he said, "Stop playing with me," and I started to act. I ain't gonna lie, I started to act slow, and then as soon as he said that, we was speeding all the way, running lights, going to the hospital, and then next thing you know, I was seizing on the table. They said, "No, we gonna have to go in his brain tonight." Ever since then, I had 13 brain surgeries, and that's how many times my personality has changed. And that's something that you don't hear from a terminally ill child. They had 5 months to live. I'm gonna keep on going until my gas tanks run out. And that's when God calls you home. You never know when God's gonna call you home. I wouldn't be here if it wasn't for my dad. I know he's pretty proud of me, and I'm pretty proud of him too. And I'd like to thank President Trump, because if it wasn't for him, I wouldn't be here today.
Did I mention they didn't stand for him? Again, they're the ones that have to live with being them. And how we cross through this, whether we're friends on the other side, man, I am so curious. I'm not going to hate anybody. That's me. But this is going to be, I think, even harder than COVID, I think. How this has manifested itself is just, I trip out on every time. I feel like this is one of the things that's manifesting right now. This is going to become a legit issue. President Trump calls Elizabeth Warren Pocahontas right up on stage.
Of dollars to support Ukraine's defense with no security, with no anything. Do you want to keep it going for another 5 years? Yeah, you would say Pocahontas says yes. Of dollars.
She didn't even know how to take it, but she actually, the other video I saw, it actually froze it on J.D. Vance and Mike Johnson. They were just making the perfect face because they were both smiling, and it was like a perfect moment. But nonetheless, yes, that was awesome how that played out. Trump highlights the high rates of autism in children today.
Our goal is to get toxins out of our environment, poisons out of our food supply, and keep our children healthy and strong. As an example, not long ago, and you can't even believe these numbers, 1 in 10,000 children had autism, 1 in 10,000, and now it's 1 in 36. There's something wrong, 1 in 36, think of that. So we're going to find out what it is, and there's nobody better than Bobby and all of the people that are working with you. You have the best to figure out what is going on. Okay, Bobby, good luck. It's a very important job. Thank you. Go get him.
He called out Bobby a couple times. It was pretty cool. So, again, we like the fact that we're doing that. We've got a lot to consider, though. 1 in 10,000, now 1 in 36. In just short time. And so many would be like, well, so you're saying vaccines are bad? No, not necessarily. But maybe the fact that we give many more of them in a short period of time or shorter period of time, that maybe there's something within that that's not necessarily safe. 1 in 36 is unacceptable. Unacceptable. And the fact that we've not even been allowed to talk about it, we're not even allowed to talk about it or question vaccines in general. And again, I'm not saying it's necessarily the vaccines, though I've made my opinion very clear. But maybe the number of them in the period of time, that's one of the things we should look at. Senator Bernie Sanders just exited during Trump's address. A whole bunch of people left in the middle of it. I don't know. I don't know if it was... I don't know. I'm curious what you guys think. Do you think that mattered? I didn't even notice, frankly. I saw a bunch of empty chairs, but I'm like, I just figured they never showed up to begin with. So all the hot air that the Dems are talking about right now, they actually put this poll out, CBS News poll. And they said, how many of you view Trump's speech like favorably or unfavorably? Basically, how many do you approve of what he did versus not approve? 76% approved, 23% disapprove. What's weird to me is that I wonder how many people this number matters to. Like when I saw this, I was like, first off, CBS poll. Second off, who cares? It really matters on the streets. All right, polls are stupid. It's kind of like Twitter. Twitter's a funny place, and I'm not ripping on it. It's just I'm trying to get more into it. So to me, it really is like the Wild Wild West. It is crazy, and you just gotta. Everybody feels very confident and safe to say things however they feel, which is great. I love that. But in real life, you wouldn't do that. Back when a lot of us were growing up, right? If you popped off to somebody like that, you might get hit. You might end up in a fight. You just didn't talk to people like that to their face or on the phone, because then they'd ride over on their bike and beat your ass, which, is not what you want. Or you'd be getting in a fight. Fights suck, right? Most people get hurt. Somebody's going to win. Somebody's going to lose, usually. But both people end up hurting in some way. It's not good, unless you're just totally badass, right? So, yeah, the idea that we trust a poll and that somehow makes us feel better. It's like, I don't know. For me, God shows me in my life, right? So I've got some major Democrats in my life, again, that are there, but I've also got some conservatives that are feeling a lot more comfortable being able to talk about this stuff too. So things are changing indeed. And I think those are important things to pay attention to. CIA Director John Ratcliffe confirms that President Trump has, in fact, paused intelligence sharing with Ukraine. This is official. We heard about it earlier.
John, before you go, a word on Ukraine. The president raised Ukraine last night, and I spoke with the president of Poland yesterday, President Duda. And one thing that came out of my interview was the fact that in addition to cutting off Ukraine in terms of aid, the U.S. also cut off intelligence. And I thought that was really interesting and important, because up until now, Ukraine was actually able to use the U.S.'s intelligence, understanding where Russia was operationally. But we cut that off, right? Is that a temporary thing? Can you tell us anything at all about the intelligence on Ukraine and Russia?
Sure. What President Trump said is he asked for a pause. As I've mentioned, President Trump is the peace president. Never been a war under his leadership. He wants to end the wars that exist. And so in this case, as everyone saw play out, President Trump had a real question about whether President Zelensky was committed to the peace process. And he said, let's pause. I want to give you a chance to think about that. And you saw the response that President Zelensky put out a statement saying, I'm ready for peace. And I want Donald Trump's leadership to bring about that peace. And so I think on the military front and the intelligence front, the pause that allowed that to happen, I think will go away. And I think we'll work shoulder to shoulder with Ukraine, as we have, to push back on the aggression that's there, but to put the world in a better place for these peace negotiations to move forward. Again, President Trump is going to hold everyone accountable to drive peace around the world.
God, I was hoping he was going to say pause one more time. He said pause weird. 3 times he said pause, Mr. Ratcliffe, and I love you, by the way. Pause. I don't know. You say it strange. I don't understand. I like it, though. It's significant. I'm sure there's something to the way he says pause. He did it 3 times. Maybe that's his accent. It just seemed drawn out. You guys can play it back if you want. Kash Patel announces that tonight the FBI, DOJ, and CIA have extradited one of the terrorists responsible for the murder of 13 American soldiers at Abbey Gate during the disastrous Afghanistan withdrawal. But in fact, this dude did a whole lot of other things. So yes, the 13 service members that died and 160 civilians that got hurt, right, on that whole thing. But according to criminal complaint filed in federal court in Alexandria, Virginia, Mohammed Sharifullah, described as an ISIS-K operative, allegedly admitted to his involvement in the attacks to FBI agents in an interview after they read him his Miranda rights on Sunday at an undisclosed location. Sharifullah also allegedly revealed he played a role in the suicide bombing targeting the U.S. Embassy in Kabul in Afghanistan in June 2016 that killed 10 embassy guards and wounded other soldiers guarding the Canadian embassy. The complaint also claims that Sharifullah played a role in one of the largest terror attacks in recent memory. On March 22, 2024, a group of gunmen affiliated with ISIS-K attacked Crocus City Hall, a popular concert venue complex near Moscow, Russia. The attackers shot numerous victims with firearms, including AK-style rifles, and set fire to the building. The attack killed approximately 130 people. That was brutal, too. This same dude was behind all of these things, and we've just gotten our grubby little hands on him. Here is Kash Patel and Pam Bondi waiting for him, happily. I don't think they slapped the handcuffs on him. I think they were just happy to be there and then say shit like, yeah, what are you doing now, bitch? You know, I don't know, whatever they do to have fun these days. But yes, they were there to meet this individual. I think there might have been a couple other people that were coming with him, but he's the score. Arab states adopt Egyptian alternative to Trump's Gaza Riviera. This, of course, was put out by, who was this that put this out? I don't. Oh, Reuters. There you go. So Reuters put this out, which means it's kind of got its own little spin on it. Apparently, here's the way we're going to look at it. The Egyptians have put forward a plan for the Gaza area as well, but it does require Palestinians to maintain some form of ownership or membership, if you will. That's probably not going to go over well. The expectation is that Israel is going to roll in there possibly soon, within a month-ish, less than that probably at this point. Egypt is, though, Turkey specifically, is not good if we piss Turkey off. But Egypt also has I believe, ownership of the Panama Canal. There's a canal in there, right? And they've got access and ownership to it, I believe. So they have the ability to make life difficult, mostly for Europeans, less so for us, but affects some things. Maybe certain spices or something weird we might cost a little extra because they can just go a different direction. It just takes a lot longer, but days, a couple extra days, a few extra days. But it costs a lot of fuel and stuff like that. So who knows how this plays out? Again, we are in interesting times in the big picture, and we'll see what happens. Again, every day. I think our collective conscious is what creates tomorrow. You know, like where we're at today, where you are at in your mind is playing a direct, significant correlation to what we experience tomorrow. In fact, really what we experience in a few moments from now. I know it sounds crazy, but it's unfortunately true. Rep. Turner dies just 62 days into his congressional term. This is kind of strange. Sylvester Turner, a far-left Democrat who briefly served in Congress after decades in Texas politics, has died at the age of 70. I don't think we know why or what, but he was born in Houston. His career in law, blah, blah, blah. He was elected in Congress in 2024 after Rep. Sheila Jackson's death. Sheila Jackson Lee died. Really? And then served less than 2 months before he passed. Dude, his office has like radiation in it or something. What is going on, dude? Y'all check. Whatever this office is, if I was ever a Republican, keep putting Democrats in there, y'all are going to die. It's going to be that post that just dies. But yeah, there's something's not good about that office or something. 72 days, 62 days? Holy crap. That's weird, right? Sheila Jackson dies and then he dies too? I mean, again, they're Democrats. I don't wish death on anybody, but damn. I don't know. I mean, again, some could say he's doing all the super far left stuff, so maybe God hates him. I don't know. Seems, I mean, and the chick before him was definitely like that. Who knows? I am not here to pretend I understand everything. I just like to have fun and make fun of it all. Yeah, that's pretty much what it comes down to. Department of Government Efficiency, a.k.a. DOGE. Yesterday, the NIH canceled 7 grants for transgender experiments on animals, including $532,000 to use a mouse model to investigate the effects of cross-sex testosterone treatment. $33,000 to test feminizing hormone therapy in the male rat. Gee, what do you think they're trying to learn how to do? They're trying to transition the population. This is what they've been doing, and we've been going along with it until now. Folks, we barely got hold of this crazy train before it was too late. Barely. Great song, Ozzy. I don't actually have that coming up next week or this week, but that might be we might have to do another Ozzy-inspired show. We'll see. We're going to get there. We're hanging out together. We had a lot of fun last night on the live show. I hope you guys that were here enjoyed it. It was good stuff. Yeah, crazy what we're going through right now. Crazy how fast things are moving. And yeah, the way the left is having to fight what we're doing, that's so hard to fight morally. It's like, how do you stand there and say that we shouldn't make America better, greater? Well, they said it's going to cost more money in taxes. Well, they said that during his presidency before, and we can look back at the numbers. That never actually happened. I will say he's being a little bit more dictator-esque now than he was back then, I think. But again, I think we are seeing it moving us in the direction that we voted him in to move us in, and we need to quickly. And so, yeah, dictator-esque might be the sort of approach to get things moving, and then we can fight them in court slowly. Again, they can only go so fast. Well, we'll see. I don't know if judges can have multiple big cases where like one judge could literally like stop the government everywhere. Just like, everybody file through this one DC court or whatever. Who knows? We'll see. They're going to try. That's for sure. Got a lot to talk about, guys. Lots going on. I love you guys. Thank you for being a part of this great experience, this great awakening. Thank you for being one of the many of us just holding a flashlight. I appreciate you guys. I love the hard work. Oh, and for those of you that maybe want to do the Houston trip, when we get out there, we're going to be out. It's right off of Pearland Avenue. A place, 2 days is what it's called. We will be doing a music show live, 4 p.m. to 6 p.m. Central Time. Yeah, that's right. And that'll be awesome. I'm going to be out there live. So if you guys want to meet and you want to come out, and if you could give an email just for a head count purpose, because we're just trying to make sure we definitely have enough room for everybody. But if you send a email to onthefringearoundthenation@gmail.com, just to let you know, you're not talking to me. It's not my email, and they're not going to share or forward anything that you send them to me. In fact, that's the rules. I just want you to use this email if you're interested in going, not if you're interested in trying to get a hold of me, because you're just going to piss off a lovely lady named Nana. So onthefringearoundthenation@gmail.com. Let us know if you're interested in coming out there. Houston, 4th of July. I probably should mention the day. That would help, huh? 4th of July this year. We're going to do a live show. It's going to be a lot of fun at 2-a-days, Pearland Avenue, Houston area. And yeah, already personally booked the trip and stuff. So it's set in stone. Things are happening, and we've got a great venue. And 2-a-days, thank you for having us. A lot of fun. I can't wait. I can't wait to meet you guys. I think the Badlands actually did something out there. So this place we're putting them on the map in a big way. They might have to expand. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But you guys are a part of this, and that's what's the best. Where we go one, we go all. It's On the Fringe with Dan Radio Style.